NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Tsirkin. Julie, great to see you this morning. Let's start with the aid package. So this failed vote in the Senate leaves, it seems, the U.S.'s ability to aid Israel and Ukraine really on life support. So tell us, where do things stand in the wake of yesterday's events? Is there any chance for a revival of aid either this year or early next?
So it's on life support, but it's not dead yet. And I'll tell you, heading into the day yesterday, I felt a lot more pessimistic about this whole thing than I did when the day ended, even though this vote failed in the Senate. Because of the with him and his members is another question. But I do think there's a chance we could see something before the holiday. We might go right up until the nick of time, but we could still see something happen here.
As you mentioned, the president gave some remarks yesterday, really pushing for this deal to get done. So on that, is there a sense that the Senate would come up with a border deal that would be some sort of compromise and allow Democrats to sign on and just enough Republicans to give their blessing to it as well, and that would loosen the purse strings for foreign aid?
Yeah, according to my sources, I mean, that's really the only plan forward. I did ask Speaker Johnson yesterday if he would accept anything less than H.R. 2. He said no comment, and I do think that is telling. I mean, he's not willing to publicly say yet he's going to go away from that because of those conservative, hard-right members in his party who not only would not vote for border measures, but really wouldn't even support any aid to Ukraine and Israel. So we're totally in a pretzel puzzle, however you want to call it here. But it is very clear that Senate Republicans, especially those who want to send money to Ukraine, like Senator Lindsey Graham, who told me yesterday, by the way, he now sees the border as a more important issue than Ukraine. That's something that they really, really want to get done.
Minority Leader McConnell also wants, of course, that Ukraine aid. One wonders if Johnson, who has thrown some real olive branches to the hard right recently with the January 6th footage, with the impeachment inquiry, maybe he's trying to appease them so he can make this deal. We shall see. Time is running short. But let's get to that other headline. Kevin McCarthy, we all know it took him 15 rounds or so to become Speaker. He infamously said he would never
surprise those of us who covered him, the twists and turns of the last couple of months. I mean, this is somebody who really couldn't get over those handful who ousted him. He still had back and forth.
Here holds it for just a matter of months, and now leaving Congress altogether. NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Julie Tsirkin, thank you so much for being this morning. Great to see you here. Still ahead here.
As you heard of dire consequences for Kyiv if this doesn't get passed. So where do negotiations go from here? What are you hearing where you are?
Well, Chris, given that Republicans are not going to relent off their demands that border fixes, immigration reforms be tied to any aid to Ukraine, that was illustrated to me by Senator Lindsey Graham, for example, one of the fiercest hawks to sending aid to Ukraine, who told me he actually thinks the border is more of a concern now than Ukraine. Given all of that, they really have three options forward, according to my sources. The first is they somehow get a deal done on reforms to the border that could be mustered by Republicans in the House before they leave for holiday break. They end up passing that with assistance for Ukraine and aid to Israel and Taiwan. That really seems like an unlikely option now, given that the clock is ticking. They're set to be out on break next week, and we really don't have even a new offer from Republicans that they had presented to Democrats. The second option here, and that most lawmakers that I've spoken to are hoping for, is they can at least clinch some kind of agreement, some kind of framework before they leave for the new year, for the holidays, on the border, on immigration reform and Ukraine aid, so they can take a listen to what some senators who have been involved in this process said this morning. Watch. Of course, he's referencing the funding fight that lawmakers are preparing for come January. But I have to tell you, Chris, just within the last couple of minutes, some of the key negotiators in the Senate group, including Senator Langford, Senator Murphy, and Senator Sinema, just huddled for about an hour trying to restart these talks when it comes to this issue. Again, anything that even manages to pass in the Senate has to pass in the House. And yesterday, Speaker Johnson told me no comment when it comes to H.R. 2, the partisan Republican bill that has no chance in the Senate when it comes to the border, if that is the red line that he is willing to accept and nothing less.
Julie Tsirkin, thank you for that. Okay, Matthew, Punchbowl News is reporting that Democrats are privately